That's my vision.
Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. That's my vision.
Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3.
That's my vision.
Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3.
That's my vision.
Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Testing audio. 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Let's get started. Let's go through a little bit of an agenda, some administrative items, introduce our keynote speaker, and afterwards we can do some I hope you take advantage of a little networking. So I'm going to go through a little bit of an agenda. Some of our keynote speaker today is John Shapiro from UC Dallas. And we have I hope you take advantage of. Let me tell you a little bit about. Let me get a feel for. I'm going to go through a little bit of an agenda. Many of our keynote speaker today is John Shapiro from Houston, Dallas is going up more than used to be. Plano software. Let me tell you a little bit about. I'm and we're good. Many of the administrative items. John Shapiro. Idea. Are we from Houston, Dallas is going up more than started companies. Used to be. Plano software. Have an idea about. Many of the administrative items. John Shapiro. Are we from Houston, Dallas is going up more than started companies. How do you go? Used to be. Plano software. Have an idea about. Many of the administrative items. John Shapiro. Started companies. How do you go? To be. Plano software. Have an idea about. Many of the administrative items. John Shapiro. Started companies. How do you go? To be. And then we can then because we'll get somebody closely. Some people will come up to me and say, really that a lot of folks idea maybe, let me look at you know, the luminary. In that idea, come see me. And then we can then because we'll bring somebody closely. And other people will come up to me. That a lot of so we're still growing. Idea maybe. Let me look to the you know, the luminary. Thank you for word of mouth. And then somebody closely. And other people will come up to the network. So we're still growing. Idea maybe. Let me look to the in December we had today. Future December maybe out and help. In January we had Bob CTO Current Development. So now we go to this month, and I want a chance, if you know anything, market of interest entrepreneurs. No, I know that I've had this meeting and they go, do you know that what's going on down there? I didn't hear about that. I mean, others want to hear about it. In December, we anyone have an event coming up. Today, speak up. Let me know. Future idea. December always great. You got entrepreneurs and help coming in. Is that right? In January, we had CTO Grant. I don't know the government. Probably. So now this month, I want a chance. If you know anything, market of interest entrepreneurs. I know I've had this meeting. Go, do you know that what's going on down there? I didn't hear about that. I mean, others want to hear about it. Or either, you know, we got a mailing list. In December, we had 600, maybe that. An event coming up. Books you've read, entrepreneurship books that would be of interest. Future. Remember, always.
You got entrepreneurs. They're coming in hours.
CTO, grant.
I don't know the color. Probably.
So now this month it is, and I want to change. If you know anything, market of interest to entrepreneurs. I know this meeting. Do you know what's going on down there? Idea about that? I mean, want to hear about it, or either we got a mailing list. December we 600 maybe that. An event coming up. Books you've read, entrepreneurship. I recently bought it. Now, startup. Remember, always.
You got entrepreneurs.
Last year bought an even
better,
older crossing the cash. And that's a good I mean, makes you think as you approach the market, and then how you transition from adopters to majority. Anything else? I want to change. If you know anything. Market of interest to entrepreneurs. Marketing automation tool or technique. Always look at these emails with that say, hey, idea about that funnel, and you just have to go out there. Customers can just come in this funnel, and we got a mailing list. Be an order taker. And I'd really like one of those. But are there any marketing automation tools or anything like that you folks use or like or recommend?
So I run a marketing agency.
Books you've read, entrepreneurship. I recently bought it. Now, I'm startup. Always.
You got entrepreneurs.
Last year bought an even better, older crossing the cash. And makes you think as you approach the market, and then how you transition from adopters to majority. Anything else? If you know anything. Entrepreneurs. Marketing automation tool or technique. Always. Look at these emails with say, hey, something the user can learn and start doing, or do they need customers to just come in this funnel and we got a mailing list? The order taker. I'd really like one of those. But are there any marketing automation tools or anything like that you folks use or like or recommend?
So I run a marketing agency.
Interested? Lynn could help you on that. Books you've read, entrepreneurship. I recently bought it. I want to give a chance for elevator pitches. If you want to practice your elevator pitch on a nice, friendly audience, time. You want to investors or angels, angel investors, or You have to have a nice little elevator pitch to do it. So now's the time to practice. You want to just idea, really. It's just what is the idea that you have for an entrepreneurial business? As you approach the market, and then how you transition from adopters to majority. Anything else? Entrepreneurs, marketing automation tool or technique. Look at these emails with you. Say, hey, you know, anything that the user can learn and start sending. Do they need customers to come in this funnel and we got a mail to the order taker? You know, I'd really like one of those. But are there any automation you folks use or recommend?
I run a marketing.
Interested? Could help you on that. Books you've read? What's your full name? I recently want to give a chance to elevator pitches. If you just want to practice your elevator pitch on a nice, friendly audience, time. Investors or angels, investors or have a nice elevator pitch. So now's the time to this idea, really. It's just one more question. The idea that you got to keep rolling. You have any other questions? Entrepreneurial. As you approach the market, and then how you transition from adopters to majority. Anything else? Entrepreneurs, marketing automation tool or technique. Okay, an elevator to the top of the Empire State Building. There you go. And I didn't give my parameters before this. 30 seconds, no questions, but state your name, and if you have an interest in network customers, anyone else, take. You know, I'd really like one of those. Are there any automation? You folks use or recommend? Outstanding.
Oh, I read
Interested? Should help you on that.
Books you read?
What's your full name?
Recently.
We'll give a chance to elevate audiences. If you just want to practice your elevator pitch on a nice, friendly audience. Time. You see Steve afterwards if you're interested. Next, Phil.
Investors or angels.
Investors or nice. So name and company. If you have a company. Name?
Idea, really.
One
What
more
is
question.
the idea that you
like to keep rolling? Any
have
other
for-
question? 1 minute on elevator pitch. That's right. And for technical people, I speak also for myself. Is I can get on. I can talk for hours on the technical merits, the problem, of my pro. And it's really tough to catch their attention, state an amazing fact to get their interest, state how your idea helps solve the problem, and probe for interest and get a follow-on meeting so that when you leave the elevator, you know who to talk to.
And how you transition from Rogers to George. Anything else?
Okay. Get your pencils ready. Lynn, full name? Very good. Outstanding. Okay, start to ramp up towards our main event here. So please complete an information form if you've never been to the group before. We like to collect a little information on the group, and that will become more and more valuable, and then we can share information as appropriate. I'm going to pass around these donation tubs. We request a couple of dollar donation. If you don't have cash, go ahead and you can maybe hit that green button on the meetup site. Got to somehow pay for this room and
Automation tool or technique.
Please take. We're also going to have a raffle tonight with a little gift.
An elevator.
So put a business card in there.
Empire
What
State.
you can do then is
Build it.
one of you will be a lucky winner of a small token. There you go. I take my photos of the meetup, 30 seconds, a good review. That way we can generate more interest and
Set your name.
continue coming.
Have an interest in.
And also subscribe to YouTube. We're practicing with video. I think video is becoming more and more important for entrepreneurs. I know that, I like my kids, they look up stuff on YouTube. They don't look up stuff on Google. I like video if it's short and sweet and it tells me, what it's all about, and then I can get on with my business. So I'm going to practice, giving 30-second, 1-minute video updates or information on what my software product is, and send that out to folks on LinkedIn that could use it. That's my current vision. But I'm practicing with YouTube. We probably have 1 or 2 viewers out there. I recommend that you all look into video as well. But go ahead and subscribe to that channel, because if we get 100, I think we already have 30 subscribers. We'll get a vanity URL, so that'll be good. And tonight's presentation, if it's okay, will be available on at this URL, tinyurl/TSEM for Plano Software Entrepreneur Meetup presentation. So if you want today's slides, you can go there after the meeting, and you should be able to download it. So finally, you know of someone that has successfully bootstrapped a software business. Might they speak to our group? If so, message me and have them come out and give us a talk. We love to hear from people that have been there and done that, and launched successful companies, or from the academic community that study entrepreneurship and can explain it quite well. Or service providers, patent attorneys, various service providers, marketing that help small business. They can come out and network with us.
Investors or
Any last for me? Any questions? Okay, so this month's presentation we have John Shapiro from UT Dallas. Mr. Shapiro is the Director of Venture Development. He leads the university's strategy for technology innovations. He creates commercially feasible technologies and accelerates the number of new startups out at UT. Mr. Shapiro founded Alliance Systems, and he grew that company from self-funded startup to over 100 million in sales. So with that, John?
Yeah, so I did bootstrap a company. It's a lot better when you sell it.
Yeah, really. What is the idea that you got to keep rolling?
It's the first you have. I got this turned on so I can be on your channel.
Yeah, I've got to check the audio.
So let my children see it tonight. First of all, very nice to come out. My name's John Shapiro. Just a little background. I've been here in town for 35 years. I've worked in corporate environments, IBM, and other companies. I've worked for a long time. Rome Corporation, DMX, call centers, had my own business building infrastructure, hardware, telecom, and then
it's really tough to
with the server farms. And most of my companies are software folks.
An amazing fact.
So I am not a software developer, but I have managed, led, hired, fired, encouraged,
help solve the problem,
paid,
probe for
whatever,
and get a follow-on meeting so that when you leave the
I worked at UTD 5 years. I have a kind of an interesting job. I help people start companies, or I stop people from trying to start companies, which is actually more important. I tend to work with faculty, postdocs, doctoral students, and alumni. We have a whole group. Have anybody ever heard of Blackstone, the big? They gave us a $3 million grant last year to set up an entrepreneurship center on campus. So we have a physical facility. I run a
Okay. Get your pencils ready. Lynn, full name? Very good. Outstanding student. Okay, start to ramp up towards our main event here. So please complete an information form if you've never been to the group before. We like to collect a little information on the group, and that will become more and more valuable, and then we can share information as appropriate. I'm going to pass around these donation tubs. We request a couple of dollar donation. If you don't have cash, go ahead and you can maybe hit that green button on the meetup site. There's some help for this room and automation.
Tool or technique.
Please take. We're also going to have a raffle tonight. We'll get an elevator card in there. Empire State. What you can do then is build it. One of you will be a lucky winner of a small token. I take my photos of the meetup, 30 seconds, and there's a good review. That way we can generate more interest. And set your name, continue coming. Have an interest in, and also subscribe to YouTube. We're practicing with video. Video is becoming more and more important for entrepreneurs. I know that, I like my kids, they look up stuff on YouTube. They don't look up stuff on Google. I like video if it's short and sweet and it tells me, what it's all about, and then I can get on with my business. So I'm going to practice, giving 30-second, 1-minute video updates or information on what my software product is, and send that out to folks on LinkedIn. That's my vision. But I'm practicing with YouTube. We probably have 1 or 2 viewers out there. And I recommend that you all look into video as well. But go ahead and subscribe to that channel, because if we get 100, I think we already have 30 subscribers. We'll get a vanity URL, so that'll be good. And tonight's presentation, if it's okay, will be available on at this URL, tinyurl/PSEM for Plano Software Entrepreneur Meetup presentation. So if you want today's slides, you can go there after the meeting, and you should be able to download it. So finally, you know of someone that has successfully bootstrapped a software business. If you just want to speak to our group, if so, nice friendly audience, message me and have them come out and give us a talk. We love to hear from people that have been there and done that, launched successful companies, or from the academic community that study entrepreneurship and can explain it quite well. More service providers, patent attorneys, various service providers, marketing that help small business. So you can come out and network with us. Investors or any last for me? Any questions? Okay, so this month's presentation we have John Shapiro from UT Dallas. Mr. Shapiro is the Director of Venture Development. He leads the university's strategy for technology innovations. He creates commercially feasible technologies and accelerates the number of new startups out at UT. Mr. Shapiro founded Alliance Systems, and he grew that company from self-funded startup to over 100 million in sales. So with that, John.
Yeah, so I did bootstrap a company. Get coders, but DevOps managers, cybersecurity, software people who can actually do security on software. I mean, how many years experience do you have to have before you can actually comfortably look at code, and determine security. It's very hard. We're doing the best we can in rolling out programs to teach the master's level software engineering management. Growth, and it is a real challenge. The other is you got to go global immediately on almost anything that's consumer oriented. And you have to be on the WeChat platform, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all concurrently. Because if you don't get there concurrently, your idea gets snapped up pretty quick. And it's interesting. The Indian students at UTD, WhatsApp. The Chinese student, WeChat. I have to be on multiple Slack channels and keep up there and post and be on LinkedIn and all this. And I still want to see my grandkids' photos on Instagram, right? So the challenge of, I tell people also, if you're not on all these channels, you can't go fast enough to accelerate a company that's in the product business. Again, we're not talking about consulting and others. Talent was, we have a master's degree in computer science today. This focuses on cybersecurity. It's called information security. The kids who take that degree, almost 90% of them have 100% of their pay, their college costs paid for by the DHS, CIA, or Homeland Security, because we give them grants. And immediately upon graduation, Google pays off the 90 grand that DHS or paid for them to get their graduate degrees and hires those kids for 180. Is the starting pay for people who have offensive skill, who do capture the flag, who have skills. We have a fairly competitive team in this. So, as a small company, how are you competing on that level of talent, right? It's kind of so actually there's kind of a reverse bias now to hiring older people, because people who are in their 50s, 60s, I'm 63, have very good software skills. They may not be as current as a 28-year-old, but you're more reliable as human beings. And it's how do we get skill gaps? So if you look at people coming for master's degrees in some of these skills, they're actually significantly older than you would have expected. And finally, the technology challenge. You're all aware, to launch today, you can't get your app up on AWS. Well, people need to now arbitrage AWS and Azure and put this stuff up. We've got people moving from CPUs to GPUs to FPGAs and how they run their software. You got the Android crowd. It's really a very complex software environment. And I don't know where it's going. It doesn't seem to be getting better, does it? More complex. And then you got to play the open source game, because you got to throw it out there and hope you can make your back end on services. We work a lot in big data with companies like Cloudera or Hortonworks or folks in that space, and it's a really strange business. All of them have raised $500 million. All of them burn money like crazy. But if you don't get in one of their ecosystems, it's kind of an interesting challenge. Oh, now I got why it's going the wrong way. So, how many of you have bootstrapped the biz? Okay. Does every dollar count? Yeah, right? I mean, one of the things I did is I built computers, right? One of the things I did is I competed against HP, IBM, Dell. What did I do? I built computers that were DC powered for the telecom industry, who understood how to integrate digital signal processors into the hardware platform. That's pretty niche-y, right? That allowed me to actually sell computers at high margin, because it was so niched out that Intel kept me under their wing. Intel kind of lets you, if you're an Intel partner, you get to breathe just enough oxygen to stay alive. That's how much margin they give you, but they let you get feed. So I wrote an article called Pilot Fish Marketing. You ever see remora fish? They live under sharks. They eat cooties and crumbs off of sharks. And as the shark goes through the ocean, right, these guys get pretty well fed. And secondly, how many fish are going to come up and attack a remora fish? So my belief today in software marketing is you have to crawl under a shark that's generating crumbs and feed off of crumbs. AWS does not generate crumbs. I will tell you they're an awesome company and what they do. Has anyone ever got a lead from AWS? Everyone talked to a person at AWS? Now, I'm not knocking AWS. You know, this is an awesome organization. Google, same way. Great platforms, great technology. We have a lot of people working on TensorFlow stuff. We're all about AI at UTD. Everyone's got the kind of AI. We paint it on everything now. I mean, I did a project to put Fitbits on the elephants at the zoo, at Dallas Zoo. They were more than Fitbits. But of course, we threw a machine learning algorithm and we found that they all run back to one area when they get fed. You know, they didn't really, hey, but I got the algorithm and it'll show you that actually they all run there because they can hear the metal gate of the food being dropped, right? But the other area is, I think a lot of software investing and is really about the person. I want Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be, you know, there's a fame component to development today. I don't know if you guys have seen this, right? I mean, it is you know, the amount you make is how famous you are. It's really about building referral networks and being a thought leader and having opinions. And this is actually while you're supposed to be billing and writing and doing. It's kind of we're very much a cult of personality today. And, you know, I tell people, particularly starting out, everyone has a reason to hate .NET, right? Okay, you got a lot of reasons. Now that it's free, it's less hateable. Microsoft generates crumbs for their ecosystem. If you look at the last quarterly announcement of Microsoft stock and the growth in Azure, they are making people money by being a Microsoft partner. So I tell startup companies that are getting going, they're working in the enterprise space, suck it up, right? It's not free. You're paying real SQL. You're not paying like in MySQL. You're not getting Apache. You're getting, on the other side of it is they will throw you crumbs. And I have a lot of companies that once they realize it's, you know, it's like biting the bullet. It used to be you had to buy the Microsoft stuff, then you got freed up. But in terms of being a pilot fish under a cloud company, it's not Oracle. It's not going to be the other guys. So I'm maybe a bit of a bigot towards Microsoft in this area. Most of you, I understand, do consulting to some degree. Even though you may have a product that really is wrapped around kind of consulting. How good do you think you are at doing branding around yourselves? I mean, how hard is this today to be a brand? It's really hard. Does anyone ever follow what they're called influencers? Like, I'll give you an example of an influencer. Is Kim Kardashian an influencer? Yeah, it's a terrible example, right? But when you have 150 million followers on Facebook and Instagram, every time you have a product placement or you talk about a product, at her level, she probably gets $25,000 to $50,000 for every tweet where she mentions anything. You have to get to 100,000 people that follow you to become a paid influencer. A startup company called Cosmunity, started by a bunch of young kids who enter cosplay. Anyone know what cosplay is? Paint yourself up, get to be Dracula, get to be Star Wars character, go to a conference. It turns out people like to do social networking in the cosplay community, but no one wants to put I dress up as like a rubberized, you know, Batman on their Facebook, Instagram feed. So they developed a social network only for cosplay meetups. Everyone can pick their own avatar. They got 300,000 users in the first year up and running. Now, it was a bucket of bolts in the back room. It was a bunch of glued together, you know, software. But think about the growth there. What they do now is they're the major influencer site at every cosplay event. The one in San Diego gets 200,000 people show up. So it's interesting how they started out as look, I'm like an enterprise software guy, right? When people come up and say, hey, we want to do a social network for because I'm interested because I work at a university. It's my job to be interested. They even pay me to do this stuff. The other is I have no clue what they're talking about, right? But I do know the 200,000 people showing up to an event who all want to socially meet, get together, get laid, have fun, do business. They need a way to meet, and they want to be in their Batman suits. That's a cool niche. That company's going to get acquired. because of just a, and now the CEO of that is the god of what's hip in cosplay because he made it his effort. I'm going to skip over a little of this about customer acquisition cost. And I want to skip the, anyone, you were talking about having a, I'll call it a job costing estimating system. Do you have, yeah, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea what it costs you to get customers today?
I'm looking for customer number 1 right now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have all watched Shark Tank, right? What's the one question they always ask the software companies? Customer acquisition cost. If it's not under $10 in consumer-oriented products, it's literally impossible to get there. In my world, sometimes I would sell for 2 years on a customer. For enterprise class stuff, highly trained salespeople, lots of travel, tours, demos, right? This is what's killing people today, particularly in the software businesses. How do we drive this cost down? And I'm going to tell you the way to drive it down is to become world famous and be an influencer and do all the stuff that the introverted kind of software people tend not to want to do, or people who are competent engineers don't want to be the braggers their whole lives, right? I think there's a correlation between technical skill and lack of bragging. Well, sorry, he's getting, one of the classes here has to be on lie, cheat, bragging, tweeting. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about funding, Don and I talked a little bit during part of the meeting. Don's done a bunch of public companies, raised a bunch of money. Has anyone here raised money? Trying? A challenging project for you, raising money? I spend a lot of my time, because every person on earth believes you don't need to start a company that has quality products and services. You can have an awesome pitch deck, hit some phony revenue numbers, raise money, and exit. This is sort of the millennial, by the way, this is taught, because there are unicorns, it happens to people, but in the end of the day, this is what it takes to get funding. I'm going to talk a little bit about where investors are funding in Dallas. We have a marginal to adequate early stage funding. People do like software here. There are angel networks, there are meetups. Venture capital, no. Austin, I have a strong relationship with the Central Texas Angel Network, which is significantly more interested in getting early stage funding. So many of you who want to do software, you need to make the Austin circuit. You have to have some friends down there. It's much more conducive, but don't give up on Dallas. North Texas Angel Network, Cowtown Angels. They are a circuit. They do share within the Texas network. The other is, how big will the market be for your product? People believe that everything has to be $1 billion market today. I know that seems like unrealistic, but if they don't think there's a pathway in software to $1 billion market, or you have access to that kind of market, this doesn't grab the attention of certain funding groups. The other is, everyone wants your product to be 10 times more miraculous than the current way of doing things. Now, okay, is 10x realistic? I look at my company. I started in my garage. I sold it 15 years later. We were almost 150 million. Compound annual growth is 39% a year for 15 years, right? Now, for a few years, that's not so hard. When you go from 10 to 13 to 22, you start, it cranks. You build $1 billion business. I don't even know how you get to that kind of number. Where do you guys play today in customer segments? Are you more end user? Would you say you're more small to medium enterprise, large, or do you do embedded OEM kind of stuff? Is there? People give me a feel. Small, medium business, end user. Well, each of these. So, what I want to talk about in the end user space, it's very specific on your demographics of who's going to be the end user. I mean, is it an age group? Is it a character? How many people want to add a new app to their phone? How hard is it today to get a new app? I mean, I got like 20 or 30. Some I use a lot, like American Airlines, right? I mean, I use those. But for me to get a new app on, And it's really got to be, it has to be connected to a database that I care about, that I've created, that I own, that's relevant to me. I mean, they're just an amusement app. I got a startup company that came to me today. They have an app for training dogs. It's a bunch of kids, it's called Doggo. And you get this app, and you get your dog, and you look at your app, and you look at your dog, and you look at your app, right? And then the app scores how well you communicated to the dog, right? It's such bullshit. It's hard for me to tolerate. Right? On the other side is, remember, I'm an employee and I get paid. And they're the customer because they're the students and pay the tuition. No, I have that part I got down, so I'm I don't call them bullshit quick, but I route them over to the Blackstone Center to get the 22-step class on how you become an entrepreneur. I am not involved in end user stuff. It's consumer marketing. It's consumer electronics. It's tough. It's to get an Android iOS app that meets the current standards. It's about $250 each for the first release, 250 grand. Then marketing is 6x that to drive it. And if you're not connected to something that people care about, like you're not Dart, or you're not American Airlines, or you're not a venue where there's a rock concert going on, and I'm getting. Has anyone been dragged into one of those when you go to now all tech trade shows? Make you get the app. Frickin' mining devices, right? I hate them. But if I want to go to the show and swipe my phone and all the things, right? But I delete it, but it's already knows like the temperature of my Nest thermostat, right? Like, oh, John and Sue are home. The proximity sensor and the Nest just went off in the bedroom. Well, this is what we give Google, right? I mean, gladly, because they actually do deliver some unique value. A lot of people are in this space, and you get a lot of complexity. And I forget the software for a second. It's all about a go-to-market problem. Are you going to go direct? You're going to have a voice channel, integrated channel. Do you know how hard it is to get a new piece of software in an existing integrator today? It basically has to be asked for by the customer enough times that they're afraid to lose the customer. It's really that kind of game today. Or you have to have been there before and new, and the level of sales skill to sell in this space. My daughter is 28. She got a degree in electrical engineering. I'm very proud. I had no idea she was that much of a geek. She goes, "Okay, Daddy, I did that for you, but I just want to make money, so I want to sell stuff." So I go, "Okay, sell software, move to Silicon Valley," because she wasn't going to move back to Dallas. And she sells AI software for a cybersecurity fraud detection company. And first of all, she worked for Agilent and Keysight selling test and measurement and DoD for a long time, 5 years. So she had grown-up salespeople like beat her up. One of her saleswomen that she mentored under sent her home for bad dressing. Isn't that awesome for millennial? My wife and I loved it. She had to take photos of shoes before she went back out to work because her shoes had open toes, and that's not what you do when you're calling on Lockheed Martin, right? Not many millennials get this kind of coaching. But the skill set to hire someone like my daughter in San Francisco today, and of course that's an extreme market, those kids are making 125 to 150 plus comp, plus bonus, plus Uber rides, plus free food. I'm actually shocked. I'm like, I don't think she's worth it. On the other side of it is the talent to be a tech. She's an engineer, and you all know you can't sell complicated software if you're just a salesperson today. The people aren't going to accept you in their. They're like, yeah, you pay for the food, but I want to talk with someone who has some. So she, that you have to have that minimum skill level. Then you have to have the grit and personality to go out and knock on doors, which is pretty hard. So go to market is the primary cost driver of getting your product out there. Now, some of you do sell enterprise and you sell it direct. You sell solutions to small companies here in town or medium. Are you really viewed as a systems integrator, solution provider, or a product company?
That's I'm marketing it as here's a solution for your business problem. Now, there's services that go along with it that I think are going to be free.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the sales process, my process. I'll configure it, run it. The product is the product, that's the project matter. That's the value. So I consider myself a product company.
This is the holy grail of funding today, that if you are able to get launched and have enterprise customers, there is plenty of money for you. This stuff requires you to be web geniuses and not web geniuses, but really, I hate to say it, this requires you to be a lot younger. Because your demographic is going to be mobile users on phones, and they're going to be under 25 to get the kind of end user traction you need today. I think this space, large enterprise, it's an area that I loved, but I always liked being the little tiny add-on that made the Oracle thing do something that it couldn't do today. And this is where we see probably today most of our action in machine learning, AI, and data analytics. We have 800 students in the data analytics program in the School of Management. It turns out that's also a STEM degree program, so we get a lot of students from India, China, and others who come for that degree. It used to be MIS. Does anyone remember the title? Masters in MIS, right? Does anyone know anyone in the MIS business anymore? So what we did at UTD is we changed the title to a master's degree, an MBA, or a master's in data analytics. It became a STEM degree, gave kids 17 more months to stay in America. And like within 1 year, it went from like no students to 800. And it's just growing. We just can't get enough faculty to teach this stuff. And our goal in the business school, if you come out, is you can program in Python and in R. These are, if you're able to get yourself up, we used to do SAS, but that's kind of lost favor, and we still have classes in it. But everyone's right now Hadoop, Spark, R, Python, and this is in the School of Management, because the School of Management controls really where the kids who are taking strong statistics backgrounds are. CS folks can write code, but they don't get statistics, and statistics are really what data analytics are really becoming. So we have a gap problem in the way we're educating CS kids. They don't get the stat stuff. And the stat stuff kids who are already getting stat are getting there with R and Python. So kind of my bets on the stats kids are going to win more of the interesting, high-paying jobs. We do a lot of work here also in the embedded space. Embedded is Megatronics, chip control, Arduinos, Raspberry Pi, IoT stuff, lots and lots of work in real-time operating system and embedded. And it's an area that I really like, because if you've ever been in the design win business, once you get your stuff in a device, it's really hard to get rid of you. You're not making a lot of money, but we love this space today because everyone loves robotics. I mean, our robotics club, our robotics programs, you guys see the whole AI, robotics, machine learning tools, self-driving car stuff. You have to have like aerospace kind of level degrees, because you got to know electrical, mechanical, software. Toyota has put their connected car division in Dallas. Most of their R&D on car stuff is in the Valley, but the connected car group decided to put it here. So we're seeing really interesting demand coming out of Toyota for people who know RF, LiDAR, all sorts of proximity sensors, which require a lot of AI, machine learning, and stat stuff behind it. So, and it's all being done on embedded GPUs and other kind of devices. So it's kind of just a really hot area. And if you're thinking about where your skills should be going, it's an area that I have this is kind of the list of stuff that's hot today for us. The areas we're putting the most effort in is in AI and machine learning. If you get a degree today in sociology, you're taking a class, then it will include R, Python, and some level of NLP kind of work. There'll be a work assignment. In the School of Art, we're teaching people things like image processing. So they can not only take the art, but they can catalog it, use it. So almost every degree program has got some level of camera component to it today, whether it's using cameras to recognize stuff, count stuff, monitor stuff, create art, and that brings in a whole bunch of signal processing kind of skills. So it's kind of this stuff, a lot of marketing hype, right? IoT stuff. Anyone really believe IoT is anything new? SCADA for power control. I will tell you, how many IP addresses do how many people have in their house or MAC addresses today? Shit. Like ridiculous, right? I built a house, a new house, and I did not go with the fully automated electric system because I knew it would break and I knew it would be obsolete. But I found these little Leviton switches that cost $35 that are Wi-Fi enabled switches. I'm like, oh, Wi-Fi I get. That's going to be around. $35, I'm not going to die. All right? But I had to sign up to the Leviton cloud services, so now Leviton knows when I'm turning on and off my lights, right? So the privacy problem. But what I between all of our iPhones, iPads, Apple TVs, and my kids are gone. Nest thermostats, we have like 40 IP addresses or MAC addresses in my house. Like, I'm a geek, and that's cool for me. How do mortal people deal with this stuff? Right? I read a book. I go for a walk. Right? I have some old school in me. You know, maybe I talk to my wife. We love this stuff. All over campus, meetups, mashups. The kids are insane with this. For one thing, we love blockchain as a fundamental technology. We have the largest school of supply chain in the United States. And when you want to do supply chain insurance, whether it's a document or blockchain is going to have a really big place. We don't know where, but I think everyone is kind of shaking their head in chain of control. Good. Gambling and digital coins and coin offerings. We have the North Texas Blockchain Bitcoin Meetup once a month, 250 people. I'm on the drug, man. All right, they got their CoinDesk stuff, and they got their little USB encrypted things, and well, it's an area we like. Adaptive security, we have 16 faculty right now at UTD working in cyber. It's not even like near enough. Adaptive security is, again, the machine learning AI component of adaptive malware, as malware iterates and changes, or they call it polymorphic malware. I have a guy who runs a lab who does nothing but stuff for the offense, DARPA, DHS stuff. Another problem for UTD, you have to be an American citizen and get clearances to work in his lab. How many people who get PhDs in computer science are American citizens when they are still in their PhD program? 20%. 20%. I'm not an immigration person, but I'm like, we should keep these folks and make something better. At the semiconductor level, we're probably one of the best schools in town for doing MEMS work because TI funded us. We're kind of TIU. But the whole issue around micro machines and megatronics and the software side of control systems and control system theory, it's been a giant area for us. It's a great area in the area of software because, one, it's really hard to do. Everyone wants to control everything through software today. How many valve switches are on Earth? Light switches, power switches, valves. How many of them are going to be smarter in the next 5, 10 years? You ever hear of a guy named Admiral Rickover? Admiral Rickover did the first nuclear subs, and he had a big argument with the nuclear industry over automation. He believed in the nuclear subs that he didn't believe any gauge. Anytime he wanted to know something, he would make sure that someone ran there and looked at the valve. Because you gain situational awareness when you look at the valve, like it's like leaking, or the light bulb's out, and where the nuclear power industry believes in control panels. Like, hey, the light's green, and the 3 Mile Island thing, you hit the gauge, it goes the other way. I don't know where we're going on this, but I think in these areas right now, we're going to automate it faster than we know how. When it breaks, we're not going to know how to fix it, where the problem resolutions are. I'm going to move through this because you guys are experts on software, and I want to leave some room for time. I want to talk about deals funding. This is sort of a leading indicator of what people care about today in funding. These numbers come from this month's Money Tree published by PwC. So you can see the number of deals, of course, Texas. The URL's on the bottom. You like it's final. Someone must have adapted it. It's Q3 numbers, internet healthcare deals. This is an area that, Healthcare IT is big. Where I have a company that's a startup that is run by an anesthesiologist, ex Air Force vet. He was doing grand rounds in med school when Palm Pilots first came out. He didn't like all the stupid writing in the logs. So he wrote a little app for his Palm Pilot. He sold it to Baxter Travel for $500K while in med school. Peter is pretty awesome. So he's an anesthesiologist. An anesthesiologist gets 6 meds from the pharmacy. They go in syringes. 3 knock you out, 3 bring you back. Theoretically, right? Doctors are supposed to label these. You know how they label them? With belt markers and labels, which is sort of like a biological bacteria breeding ground for the docs. Secondly, they don't do it. So there's a compliance problem. So he came up with I found a Honeywell printer and some thermal labels. He got a barcode device. You scan your badge. You pick your surgery. You take the meds. You have to do it twice. Print out the labels. You put them on the tubes. Does that sound like a complicated software app? All the software is embedded in the printer. It's not even hooked up to a network. He hacked the software in the printer. He sells the printer for $4,000, $350 a year maintenance contract, and labels are $50 a roll. He pays $400 for the printer. It's got a 5-year warranty, $7 a roll. It's a workflow solution. Puts it in UT Southwestern. They buy 45 of them right away. It is an embedded piece of software because it's in the printer. Within 90 days, they have 100% compliance out of their docs, and the pharmacy would never take a syringe back that said fentanyl on it because they never trusted the doctor because the doctor would handwrite it. They couldn't trust it. With his labels, they've had a 40% reduction in anesthesia cost because they now trust what's coming back. These are really simple. How can he sell a Honeywell printer that costs $400 for $4,000? It's medical. Period. It goes in the ER. He was smart. He didn't put it on the Ethernet. So he doesn't have IT coming. The IT people don't even know it exists. He sends his wife out with a USB stick to do updates. No, this is the kind of bootstrapping, and he founded Nick. Suddenly, the people who do the sterilizing of tools, they go in little packets, these tools, they go, we need a label. They'll survive 200 degrees centigrade because we need to track who put it in the package, what was it in, what was the date, where it went. He developed a label. Now he's kicking ass in the autoclave device labeling business. Now, he's an anesthesiologist, so he'd get every hospital holding company here in town. He's full of workflow solution problems today. They try to implement med records, new insurance changes, new drugs. Love this field. And Dallas, Texas is a ripe market. We have major hospital holding companies. Can you tell I'm in love with health software? It's because Baylor Scott White's here, Tennant's here, UT Southwestern's here, a lot of community hospitals. So it may be a field that you wouldn't have gotten into before, but it's an area that's really worth considering. Mobile, telecom, internet, non-mobile, consumer products. You notice consumer products are kind of fading. This is AI funding just on its own, quarter by quarter. So these deals are every quarter $1 billion, and none of these companies can hire the talent they need. If you look at we did an analysis of the top 8 or 9 companies that were funded. I use Crunchbase as my tool for that. And then you go to their Indeed or Help Wanted site, man, they got they cannot get the talent. They got the money, but the talent skill is really short. This is also the largest deals done in AI. I just thought it would be kind of interesting if you notice. These are in biotech application. I love this stealth mode, right? How many people do you think you can raise $60 million and not tell anyone what you're doing, right? Done it before. This area is kind of interesting because it's very surprising. These kind of deals where you're doing test measurement and scientific software are typically not as viewed as exciting because the sales cycle on these are pretty long. And these are sort of interesting digital health deals. They're not all software, But you'll see down here there is more software coming into this space right now in this quarter. And these, I thought, were just sort of auto tech deals. Again, we got Toyotas here. They want to do business in town. They're hiring 200 people to run the connected car division in town. They are looking for partners who want to get into auto tech. And this is new for North Texas. I mean, how many people have lived here for like 20, 30 years? Okay. TI, if you look at the history of this town, Rockwell Collins, TI. First, Nortel, Dan Ray, MCI, and then many, many companies kind of sprung out of these. You can make an argument whether TI was the founding tech company here in town, but for our sake, it was. And look what we built in the last, 30, 40 years? We're number 2 or 3 in software development in the United States. We don't get the love that Austin does. We got way more talent. It's just way cooler. Every time I go down there, because I work for the UT system, which way is Mecca? I gotta go down, and they always take 10% of all my grants because, they're UT Austin's allowed to. They're just so cool down there. But the kids stay, and people stay. And now with the Dell Med School coming out of the ground, they have a med business. I would put an argument that Toyota is a game changer for technology for North Texas for the next 40 years in terms of a new field that we never even thought would be here. They're eager, they're excited, they're hiring, but this ability to bring the smart car and connected car thing to North Texas is going to be pretty awesome. We're already starting to see suppliers move into that Legacy West area of people who sold to Toyota. So I think these are the kind of companies, the second-tier food chain that we're really excited about. I'm going to skip through this. Okay, that's my official John Shapiro's version of what's going on at UTD. Questions? The unofficial version is entrepreneurship is really freaking hard. It takes a lot of effort. You have to have grit. There's plenty of work. There's plenty of ways to work your way in. And I really try to tell people, I have a lot of people who want to go right and become a product company. They're like 4 undergrads and someone else, like an uncle who gave them some money. Really, maybe get a job, get your ass kicked by mean bosses, learn quality, and then when you're 35, try it when you're grown up. But, what we do is we try to make them do 100 sales calls. To go out and pitch their idea to 100 people. And the plus is we give them a script. Hi, I'm a young student who wants to do a startup. I'm working at the University of Texas at Dallas. I've been told that you are an expert in the field, whatever field, and we'd like to come out and get your thoughts on how we should invest our time in a development project. You've been an executive. You might take that call, right? If it's done crisply and clean. But we get meetings. I will tell you by the time they're done, this is particularly true of my PhDs. The undergraduates adapt and pivot, and we didn't get that right. They go back, they recode, boom, it's now something new, right? Which my graduate students, my PhDs, they got to be proved through scientific method that they're wrong. I tell people, I go, look, here's a Goldman Sachs report, here's a PwC report, here's a Crunchbase, here's who's being funded. Your idea doesn't fit in any of these boxes. And that is a narcissism challenge to prove that I'm wrong. I'm like, really? I'm just trying to help you. No, you're wrong and I got to prove it. And I go, okay, let's go make 10 sales calls. I will get you these meetings. And then go listen. Just propose your idea and listen. And I will tell you, the ones who are willing to do it, they come back kind of changed. They realize that they didn't get it. They didn't understand the real world. So you asked me, the unofficial version is no one knows what AI really is. No one knows where it's going. No one knows a useful use for it, except it's hot. You can string together apps by using IBM Watson at a reasonable price point today and do some fairly interesting things on natural language. We try to predict stock futures by predicting news coming off the internet. There's a lot of noise on the internet. So big data in the analytics business, if you can program in R today, anything that you can make in R that pulls data is going to sell. It may even sell as a product if it's written in R. Because it wraps up and it delivers value on the data side. Other questions? How is that different than what we've been doing for years? Now, microservices, IoT, I still think it's overhyped. Cisco did a great job of creating IoT. It's the most awesome PowerPoint you've ever seen about 5 years ago when they launched it. But when you look at it today, you know, everything's got an IP address or Bluetooth or MAC address. So really, everything is IoT. You know, it's the usefulness of it. And what's happening today is, I'll give you an example of a Caterpillar tractor. I went to Caterpillar's headquarters. They showed me their new tractor. It's got about 80 sensors on this tractor. Weight, temperature, revolutions, weight, you know, all the things it takes to run a tractor ain't a tractor anymore. It runs by itself. It's driverless. It's GPS driven. You know, the farmer's kicking back. No, I'm kidding. Farmers work pretty hard. And within that, each one of those devices samples at between 1,000 and 3,000 times a second. The tractor generates a gig an hour of numeric data, not fat data, like thin, well, you can pump all that stuff back through the cloud, through multiple ISPs, back to some AWS server, and then try to run your analytics. What's really the challenge today is how do we extract out the value at this field called microservices. Some of you are aware of it. And most of the stuff is running not on traditional hardware. It's running on FPGAs or GPUs or cheaper. Yeah. Lots of stuff, and that's the area in IoT I think is really exciting. Is how do we get some useful data out of the tractor that gives me some, and then how do I roll it through a predictive model so I can know something like predictive maintenance? People talk about it, but actually to do a sensor-based predictive maintenance product today, that's a lot of work. Other questions? Okay. It was called the Applied Research Center. It was a contract research organization within the university that did commercial work for industry. A couple things. Industry doesn't want to buy stuff from universities. They want to buy our students, our real product. We're not good at being responsive, given all the compliance guidelines and blah, 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 and IP stuff. What? No, the IP actually wasn't the really big problem. We had no problem in doing that. IP is really how much money you're going to spend on litigation to fight for IP, right? I mean, that's really, it was a bad business idea, and it didn't prosper, and the faculty didn't support it. Okay. Universities are complicated. They're meant to think moats, castles, princes, and that kind of thing. At UTD, computer science, that is a department. I'm the Office of Research. In the Office of Research, we do tech licensing, we manage projects, we do grants. The School of Business has an entrepreneurship center. The Applied Research Laboratory was part of the Office of Research that did contract work. We now funnel all the contract work that comes to our door to our startup companies. They get a better service, they get more ambitious people, they get an easier way to do business. We get, they are our alumni or our students, so, if your university gives you a deal, maybe when you're older and richer, you'll kind of buy us a fountain or a whatever. It is spread around. One of my jobs is to be a concierge. People come and there's no front door, there's no 1-800 number, so I try to triage stuff. Bigger companies work universities better because they think it's a 10-year investment. Feed money to laboratories and others. So we're not competing with any of you guys anymore. Aren't you glad? Did you do any work with ARC? Well, then come talk. I'm happy to steer you to teams or other folks that might do your work faster, quicker, cheaper, better. Okay, glad to help. Other questions, sir? hmm I think every company that deals with anything that they want to have assurance that what they touched was a. I don't know if there's any company of any material size that doesn't have a blockchain initiative going on today. I mean, companies that are forward thinking, right? If you're dealing with IP, you're dealing with litigation issues, anything that you need to control, its origination and end, who touched it. I personally love the idea of being able to not let you read my Word document that I sent you after I decide I don't like you anymore. Right? I'd like to control my data a little bit better. Healthcare will be last, but it's actually the first place it really needs to sit. Uh, I think every company has seen the experience and all this stuff, and they don't believe in encryption anymore. They don't believe in their own protective measures. They think they're failing across the board. The insurance industry is going to drive blockchain in a huge way because error and omission insurance, the things that cover, people are going to change their actuarial tables in a giant way. And they're going to go, prove to us that you keep this stuff secure, that you've got a plan. And if you really, they go, well, I have a disaster recovery plan. Does anyone believe that they can restore a company? All the images and all the stuff that's been put out in a company today, pretty hard. My son worked for Sony when they got whacked. Right? He was in the finance department. For some reason, he decided, now he's not a Sony hero, but he decided that he's in the finance department. He backed up all the projects he was responsible for, the films, all the data he was working on, onto a USB drive to that weekend. He didn't wipe it. They restored his department on that drive. They replaced every piece of hardware in the place because they thought the malware was so deeply embedded they couldn't even tell. They didn't know. Okay, you want to know an interesting reaction from Chubb, their insurance carrier? Act of war. The president said so. We're not paying. Force majeure. The Sony CEO said, I'm going to get on TV and talk all about what you did. Oh, no, we didn't really mean that. It was, we'll help you. But see the reaction from the insurance company? This wasn't all. So I think blockchain, and we're not talking about coin offerings, right? All I know is I wish, I shoulda, coulda. On the other side is I don't invest in stuff I can't figure out at all. Both my kids are Ethereum coin holders. Why? Because they're smarter than me. You know the musical chairs game? I think there's like 3 million people in one chair in this deal, right? But other questions? First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I hope this was marginally helpful. Entrepreneurship, some of the stuff online that's being driven on this lean launch that forces people to go out and do product market fit, I think has a lot of validity. That's kind of, and there are tools to help because people tend to get that really wrong. So, thank you. Appreciate the time. To you two people out there, you can go back to whatever you're doing. Thank you.
Just a couple more little things, and we can get back to networking. Last chance for anyone to put a business card in here for the raffle. Thank you, John. Outstanding. So this is the second time you've come to the Plano Software Entrepreneurs. So that means you've moved from being just a speaker to a mentor.
More work.
That's right. You are now a mentor.
It's 500 for the first guy.
And we want you back. So as a small,
virtual? Oh no.
as a small token of our appreciation, we'd like to give you this personalized paperweight for your many stacks of $100 bills. Thank you so much. We're going to have pictures after with John, so anybody wants a picture, we'll... Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get all the business cards, put them in one, and John is going to pick the winner. Oh, and by the way, we didn't want you to go away just with a token. This is also a Starbucks card to get your caffeine level high. I got to do this differently because I got to always pick through these cards. Any last takers for cards? Okay, for one Starbucks card. John?
No, that one's too easy. It's on the top.
Yeah.
Okay. For me. In the box?
I'll keep that. There you go. Thank you. Good job. Okay, well, I think that's... So that's it. Any last thoughts or questions?
I have one more thing for you.
Yes, sir.
For all of you who wanted to know what's going on with entrepreneurs in town, there is a newsletter sent out every day from Dallas Innovation. Dallas Innovation is really the number one email daily draft and everything here. We use them for money, on programs, we advertise them, it's free to use that. And it's actually really concise and worthwhile and it covers the metro west. You're going to look for one Dallas Innovation.
Innovates.
I don't sign up for a lot of email lists. This one is actually good. I love it. Just Google Dallas Innovate.
Okay. Thank you.